Battle Angel Alita. Critics hate it, but fans love it. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm the noob. I got to see this movie this weekend, so let me tell you my thoughts on it. 2 weeks ago, Battle Angel Alita came out to theaters. And this, once again, is another film that has shown that the critics and the fans have two different opinions on it. In Rotten Tomatoes, as of the filming of this video, the current score from critics is 59%, while the fans are giving it a 94%. Now, I saw this movie this weekend with a bunch of others. Now, when it comes to anime adaptations into live film, it has not been a pleasant course. We've had so many misses, so many shows that have been done wrong, so many castings that just didn't feel natural. So when I went into this, I was not 100% thrilled that I was going to be enjoying it. But to my surprise, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Now, if you were like me, one of the few people who actually knew of this series, it is based off of a manga and an OVA way back in the day. I don't know an exact date, but when I say old school, I mean old school. So I had a very limited knowledge of this anime. I went into this basically brand new, and I gotta say, I enjoyed this. This film is supposed to be set hundreds of years in the future after a giant battle, and it is basically steampunk / cyberpunk in the future. A great example that I could think of off the top of my head, the upcoming game Cyberpunk 2077 reminded me a lot of this film. A little bit of a, catching up for those who don't know. Battle Angel Alita is a story around this cybernetic human known as Alita. She does not have any memories, and she was found in a scrapyard by a gentleman known as Doc. Through her process of trying to regain her memories, she starts to find out that she was a warrior from way back in that big battle that happened that a lot of people refer to as the Fall. Now that's all I'm going to give you. I actually do not want to spoil a lot of this film. I actually want people to go out and watch this. Now, as I said earlier in the beginning of this, critics did not seem to like this. I was reading a lot of the posts on Rotten Tomatoes from what critics had said, and there was a couple things I noticed that, it was critics. First thing I noticed, which I've always heard when it came to this movie, was a lot of people complained about her huge eyes. Now, if you're like me, I watch anime. I read manga. I read light novels. So seeing these big eyes really did not impact me. And when it came to this story, I was a little confused at why her slightly bigger eyes was the thing that they were bitching about. You had people walking around where it was basically a head on a bulldozer body. If her eyes were the thing that started you off not liking this, then I guarantee you did not like the rest of this film. Which, by the way, is very visually appealing. Whenever I hear stories of post-apocalyptics, cyberpunk, steampunk kind of feel, they always seem a little lacking. Where in this, it felt natural. When it came to all the different languages that were happening in this section, it was explained that the floating city above them was the last one, so everybody moved here. So that means all the languages came here. Another thing I noticed was there was a couple critics who were complaining that they felt like they needed to do homework before coming into this film. Why do homework? No offense to those critics, but whatever happened to just going into a film and enjoying it? I didn't know much about this. I knew just a general amount, and I completely enjoyed it. People who don't know the backstory on this will enjoy this. You do not need to do homework to do a film. I don't know how many war documentaries I've watched or based on real life action films that I've never done homework on. I still enjoyed them. Why do you need to do homework? Now, the cast in this, I enjoyed extremely well. I thought each of the actors matched the characters that they did, and when it came to their fighting styles for those who fought, it felt natural to them. Take our main actress who played Alita, Rosa Salazar. I believe she's a newcomer, but watching her in this, especially when it came to the parts where she was trying to remember things, her memory has been erased. They were introducing her to foods. The way she acted felt natural. Now, when it came to Doc's actor, my God, I loved him in this. Christopher Watts, our boy who I first got introduced from Inglourious Basterds, felt perfect in this role. Doc is a very interesting character because not only is he someone who helps people, repairs their technology, heals them. He's basically a doctor. But then at nighttime, he is a hunter warrior. He goes after those who have bounties on his head. And he uses this giant hammer with a booster on the back to swing around. And I love the prop they gave him because it felt real to me. And I love the way he interacted not only with the character Alita, but everyone else that he had to deal with. And then there came one of the main bad guys. I'm not sure how to explain this without spoiling it, so we're just going to say the main bad guy, known as Vector. He was played by Mahershala Ali. His charisma throughout this whole movie just screamed bad guy boss. The kind of character who sits in the background, hires the thugs, does the thinking. He was able to portray this character in such a way I believed him to be an evil person. And I love when actors can do this right. Now there's a whole bunch of other characters in this, and I love how each one is unique in their own way. One of the things I was worried about when it came to this film is a lot of the characters have cybernetic prosthetics, basically robotic limbs, be it arms, be it legs, be it bodies. Most of the time, the only thing that's human on them is usually somehow associated to their head and their brain. And I was a little worried that they were all going to look the same. But the cool part about this movie was each one looked different. You had Alita, which, depending on which body she was in, was still very slim, sleek, very feminine. In her first body, it almost looked like her body was made out of porcelain, where the other one was very sleek and battle ready. Doc's character, the way he dressed in the trench coat and had the hat with the hammer, and the way he fought in it was very good. It fit very well. I could actually see this being a real hunter in real life. Vector, like I said, when I said walks around evil, this man would walk with a purpose, with his hands behind his back, always had those shades on, would look at you in a certain way. It worked out well. And then there was the other hunters that were in this. I thought they were all going to be, very much the same, but there were some where they had like gears in their head, or there was this one main hunter. He was played by Ed Skrein, and I believe his character's name was Zapan. He carried around a sword, and his whole body was robotic, but the way it looked was very, in my opinion, oriental or ornamental. It looked very unique. There was someone who had robot dogs who looked like a grizzly old Texan, and he had like a prosthetic jaw, and his dogs were all kind of robotic. It was very unique. Each character in this was unique in their own way, to where I did not see any part of this repeating itself. Now, with most movies like this, there are going to be sequels, and I love the way that they set this up. It was actually a complete, full story, but the way they ended it, there's going to be a sequel. And I'm hoping it's just a sequel, not a trilogy. This would do perfect as a 2-part movie. We got all the bases down. Alita as learning who she was, how to fight. Doc, the reason why he cares for Alita is because she's almost a replacement daughter. At the end of that, they had a family situation going on. Vector was evil up until the end. I mean, it was great. And I hope there's a second one. Folks, as I've stated before, and as I've stated multiple times, not only on this channel, but in real life, I don't think the critics know what a good movie is. They're always looking at it in my opinion, for political stuff. This was a good movie. In fact, I'm going on record saying this is probably by far one of the best anime to live action transformations I have seen to date. If they can keep this up in the next one and do this in future anime films, I believe we can actually get better live adaptations to anime products. Folks, go out and watch this. I watched it myself. I'm going to go watch it again this weekend. And this is one of the few films I'm actually interested in seeing 3D. If my theater is still showing it in 3D next week, I will be seeing that. And as someone who hates seeing 3D, that's saying a lot. I'm the Noob. I thank you for listening to me. What do you think? Have you seen this movie? Do you think it was a good live adaptation of an anime product? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if there's another live action anime adaptation you would want me to watch and talk about. Once again, folks, I'm the Noob. Thank you for listening to me, and I'll talk to you later. See ya!